who can confront Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Like, really, though? Who on that team with this guy who obviously pretty low emotional intelligence?
Yeah.
Who is going to be able to say to him, Elon, it's you, bro?
Start it up. Let's get it rolling. Big ideas, money folding. Hustle smart, dream so wide. Turn that grind into a joyride.
Yeah,
right?
So I am a Tesla owner, and I feel like back in, I don't know, December, I felt like my car was super cool. It's a red Model Y. I've got the performance version with the big rims and the red brake calipers and the carbon fiber little spoiler.
Look at you go.
It's really
This is
dope.
like kind of a weird humble brag. If it wasn't in this context,
It's a Model Y.
Yeah.
If it was a Model X, I think it would be
or the Roadster that like doesn't exist.
But anyway, so I really like my car. It's way better than previous cars I've had and all that sort of stuff. But all of a sudden it went from being like, hey, this is a super cool car to like, you know, by like March, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really hope nobody like torches my car.
Yeah, like literally lights your car on fire.
Yeah.
Or flips it or something.
So that's around the time I saw the Toyota sticker on the back
that's pretty
of the
jokes.
Cybertruck.
That's hilarious.
So I actually went on Amazon and I got the elbows up sticker.
Very Canadian.
Just, you know, like kind of subtle on the back of my car, but I put it on the back of my car just so that like hopefully anybody about to like toss, you know, gasoline on my car and light it on fire at the very last
like
second
a
goes
serious crime.
sees the sticker and is like, oh,
They're cool.
This
They're
guy's
cool. They're all right. They're
fine. I won't bother.
Do they walk away with the gas tank? Hey, Dave here. Let me tell you a little secret. When we were building AppArmor, we needed to move fast, especially with quotes and invoicing. FreshBooks made that possible. Yeah, this is an ad, but seriously, FreshBooks was essential. My sales team could send sharp quotes in minutes, and it automatically handled millions in invoices and reminders. No chasing, no stress, just cash flowing in. It was so easy to get paid. It's built for small businesses by folks who get it. And yeah, like us, they're Canadian. What's not to like? If you want to spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business, head to freshbooks.com and start your free trial. Trust me, it's a game changer. And now, back to the show. That's kind of interesting. I feel like I would be legitimately concerned as well if I owned a Tesla. I mean, I specifically didn't buy a Tesla a few years ago, and I'm patting myself on the back here, but I specifically didn't buy a Tesla a few years ago because I didn't like Elon. I know. Like Elon, you have to respect on the one hand is an unbelievably successful, amazing business person who also takes crazy risks with money. But at the same time, I'm also like, this guy I just totally disagree with on almost everything. I actually, not to get too political, like I don't think it's bad to cut government waste. I don't think anybody's pro-government waste, but the way they're doing it is like crazy.
Yeah, what
crazy
upsetting. Waste, abuse, what's the other one?
Like corruption or something?
Like fraud.
Fraud,
Waste, abuse, and fraud.
Yeah, of course, sure.
I think that's the three that people are. And like, who's going to be like, no,
I'm team fraud.
Like, nobody's going to want those things to happen in government. Yeah. So it is obviously a noble purpose. The way he's going about it is pretty insane. Bonkers.
It's so disrespectful to people who worked for such a long time in the government and are very like intelligent, qualified people. But at the same time, like, yeah, we can't be spending beyond our means in Canada or the United States or whatever. Like, we got to do something about it. Yeah. And so I kind of get it.
Like, your big thing too is leadership with empathy.
There's no empathy. And there's a complete lack of empathy.
It's almost like the opposite. It's almost like leadership with indignation.
Oh, you know? I read, this is a little hardcore, but I'm going to say it anyway. I read this quote from it was a psychologist at Nuremberg. Okay. And he interviewed all the Nazis. Okay. Yeah. Wow. We got hardcore fast here. But one thing he said fundamentally across every single one of those people was a fundamental lack of empathy. They couldn't feel for another person. And I feel like that's like, so like the spirit of evil is almost like a lack of empathy. Yep. And I kind of feel like it feels, I'm sure to a lot of those people, pretty evil what he's doing. Yeah. And so I kind of get it. But let's go back to Tesla here because we're kind of getting off road. Right. So if we go back to Tesla and we think about what does this like brand reputation mean? So I looked up, so obviously we looked this up before, but I found some stats that's pretty crazy. So their brand reputation suffered significantly. So it was eighth of all companies in the world in 2021.
Yeah.
It's now 95th in 2025, according to Axios.
In what ranking?
Company reputation.
Oh, okay.
And what's fascinating is because the company Tesla hasn't actually done anything to deserve that. It's all Musk.
Yeah.
It's 100% Elon running totally wild. I mean, maybe there's some stuff around like product quality with like the Cybertruck. I think like panels were falling off and stuff like that.
Yeah. They've had like a dozen recalls on the Cybertruck already. So
like they're having issues or whatever, and then this leads to like a crazy profit decline, which I think most people would know by now, but it was documented that they had a profit decline, a year-over-year net profit decline in Q1 in 2025. It was a 71% drop.
Wow.
71%.
That hurts.
Profit.
And it's just like because of the brand being hurt by what Musk
people aren't buying.
doing.
People aren't buying, and there's more coming. And we'll talk more about I think some of the other challenges this company has as well. But it just to me is like, wow, I've never seen someone so quickly destroy so much value.
Well, when you look at politics too, it's always like a 50-50 split in the US. So, if you get involved in politics with your company, you're immediately alienating 50%. Isn't it Michael Jordan who had a great saying on this? Like Republicans buy sneakers as well, or something like that. Like he didn't want to get involved
Somebody
in any type
famous
of political issues.
You know who it was?
No, I'm pretty
Let
sure.
us know.
I'm pretty sure it was MJ.
Okay,
Michael,
cool. Maybe it was LeBron.
Johnson.
Who knows?
No,
probably wasn't LeBron.
No, I think it was
LeBron's just like pro China because he has so many people buying his sneakers in China. But I think it's the same spirit, I guess.
Yeah,
is like a lot of this.
Okay, so can I throw some numbers at you because we love numbers on this?
I do.
Okay, so on December 17th, kind of before all hell broke loose with Musk and stuff, Tesla stock price was $471. Okay,
cool.
It hit a low on April 8th. Which is around
not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
A couple months.
$221. So if you bought it on December 17th and sold it on April 8th, you'd have lost 53%.
Holy shit.
Now here's the bugger. Okay.
Who shorted it? Graham, did you short that stock, man? Yeah, he's happy as hell. That's wild.
I think our brother did as well.
Yeah. The third brother. Yeah. We don't talk about Bruno.
So here's the real kicker though. Okay. I'll ask you to make a guess. Okay. What if you go back 1 year from exactly today to what was the share price 1 year ago today to what the share price is exactly today?
I got nothing.
Give me even like a percentage change. Guess.
So it was down, you said 53% on April 8th from December. So I guess the real question is, did it go lower? And I feel like, no, it didn't. It must have rebounded, right? So let's say it's back, maybe the percentage change is like 30%.
No. So it was $177 a share 1 year ago today. And just this morning, just now, actually, should I refresh?
Just do it live. We're
quote?
doing it live.
So $355 a share right now. So literally, you'd have doubled your money.
Whoa!
If you'd bought it a year ago.
That's complicated.
I kind of like,
yes,
because part of me is like,
sir, don't throw your phone, sir.
Part of me is almost like I kind of want, a bit of a temporary bad outcome for Tesla, so that they kind of shake up leadership and stop doing that stuff and just focus on making great cars.
But they can't. Yeah, the thing is, like, I actually like Tesla. Like, I like the software is unbelievable. The vehicles are pretty good. Seems it's very universal. They feel like an obvious winner in that market right now. But yeah, the Elon thing makes me not buy from them.
Yeah.
So
if Elon was gone, I'd be feeling a whole lot better about my car.
He must hold like a huge percentage of those shares of that company.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the whole board is kind of, pro Elon.
Knowing Elon too, you kind of, not that I know him personally, but knowing of Elon, I feel like he would be also like firm in a position where they can't really get rid of him.
Yeah.
Like there's no way he's doing this unless he's in almost total control.
So with that in mind, I think the best case scenario is kind of like a mea culpa, where Elon comes out and says, not my best decision. And actually, we saw this recently. About a week ago. He was at a conference and they were asking him some questions like, are you still going to be involved in politics? And he was kind of like, I think I've done enough,
damage.
Yeah.
I think I've done enough damage.
But at the same time, he also said, if I see a reason to get more involved in it, I will. So like, and I always think back to that. Which episode of Star Wars was it when Obi-Wan says to Anakin, he's like, "You were the chosen one." You know?
Revenge of the Sith, the third one, when Anakin starts falling into the lava, getting the lights on fire, and for some reason Obi-Wan doesn't kill him out of mercy, and then he lives and kills all the. Yeah. Anyway, whatever.
Right. Yeah, that one.
That's the one.
But that's where I feel like about Elon is like he's going to save the planet. He's going to take us to Mars.
He's taking us to Mars. Yeah.
All these amazing things. And it's like Elon, why this craziness? I shouldn't say crazy because that's not the right term. Why this obsession with just blindly
crazy.
Getting rid of government employees without doing it more strategically? Like you're a smart guy. You could do this strategically. You could do sending out emails and saying, "Hey, list 5 things that you did last week. Otherwise you're fired."
What
is
pretty it kind of comes back to like, what is Elon's primary skill set? Okay. Like when you think about Elon Musk, do you think of him as somebody who's good at like letting people go, like an HR focused kind of guy? Like, no, I think of Elon as probably somebody who's really good at fundraising and really good at inspiring.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But all these other things, maybe we're just learning that he's like super weak at actually understanding people, because nobody who understands people would go about it this way.
No, I think you're right.
And also like, I don't want to, like, we're getting pretty political in some of this too, which is cool. But like, I think there's a lot of people in the administration that don't really get people. Like that's not really what they do. They have other strengths for sure that are totally different from what's required to do this kind of a thing well.
Yeah. I want to take issue with something you just said, which is that we're getting political, because I don't know, like myself, I kind of, I kind of cherry pick, where I'm feeling when I vote. Like I'm not like a lifelong
No, you got to be convinced. I think anybody who's like, I'm a lifelong whatever, that's a bad idea, because then the politicians don't have to do anything.
Okay. So, but whatever, like I think, critical thinking and approaching, I don't want to say political issues, but I want to say like, challenges in our society. Yeah. I think we do it with a critical lens, and we just try and figure out like, what's the data say? How do we do this in a smart way?
I always thought it'd be great to have a political party that was just like we're in Canada, so like the data party of Canada.
Yeah, we should start.
I think this would be actually awesome. Like all the decisions are just based off of like empirical data whenever we can. Now, you can't have data for everything. Like you can't do like randomized controlled trials for like kid stuff, because you can't put kids through like intentional misery. Same with like pregnant women, like this stuff. Like there's like some categories where unfortunately it'll be a little bit challenging. But I think there's a lot of these things, like why is there like a debate over like trickle down, for example, like trickle down economics? We know it doesn't work now. We have the data. We've proven this. So it's like, why are we even thinking that that's potentially a good thing to do?
Yeah.
And so and by the way, like, I'm not saying we should have huge taxes or anything like that, but there's we can figure this out, and then we save that one to permanent memory, and then we move on to the next issue that's facing society, rather than arguing about the same crap over and over again.
Yeah. So let's get this back on the road of Tesla.
Nice. Like yes. I caught that pun right away.
By the way, you said exactly that about 4 minutes ago, and I didn't call it out because you were just doing your thing.
Cool.
But yes, it was
sometimes I just black out. I just blacked out. Well, hang on. I wanted to catch you something too, because how you mentioned because we went back. We got some good stats here. So did you know that? And I thought this was pretty crazy. So you were talking about getting your car lit on fire, and I was like, Chris is probably going to talk about. By the way, we don't prep together for these shows. We like to kind of independently. So I was like, you're probably going to talk about your car getting lit on fire. So I was like, how does that affect like insurance? Right? How does it affect like the? And this. So I looked this up. So according to like, actually this is Wikipedia, so there's a bunch of different sources, but whatever. But it says models like the Model Y and Model 3 have had insurance raised significantly from anywhere between 29 to 24%, like as in for the two different models, from 2024 to 2025. So in 1 year, your insurance premiums have gone up by a quarter, because of the increased vandalism and incidents targeting Tesla vehicles. So it's actually more expensive. So if you're a company now, think about Tesla, and we haven't even talked about tariffs yet, but think about your Tesla. You have this brand devastation. Your cars are now more expensive to own for consumers suddenly. And then tariffs are making your cars more expensive to produce. This is maybe the worst year this company could face.
But resale value is fine, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. The resale market's just killing it right now. But like, it's kind of fascinating. They've had a perfect storm, and this company was on top of the world 2 years ago, a year ago.
Yeah,
like absolutely killing it.
You couldn't even get a Tesla. Like it was you were looking at.
Remember when they were selling the Model X's for like $200K and you couldn't get them?
Yeah.
And the Model Ys were like what, 150, 160, 120? Somewhere.
No, they weren't quite that high, but
all in
really
Canadian dollars, Canadian pesos. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, like significant price point, they were just mopping up, right? And now you're in this position where you've got more competition. Oh, well, also we even talked about like the Chinese competition they're facing. This is like really intense. These downward price pressure competitors that they're having to confront in China that Elon like previously like laughed off.
Yeah.
Like this is the real deal now for these guys. They are really in a shitstorm and they're trying to get out of it.
Yeah, he really took his eye off the ball, I think. Just I would focus on your business, do an amazing job at that. And the politics thing, I don't know what the vendetta was.
Have you noticed your insurance going up though? I'm really curious.
Oh, can confirm.
Can confirm.
Yeah, can confirm. Cool. Anyways, the other thing I was looking at was that I was reading some of the readout of the Tesla quarterly earnings call, and they're very cagey about their numbers, their sales numbers, and how many units they're producing and things like that. Mm-hmm. They don't break it down by model, they don't break it down by month. They kind of just sort of like say by quarter. But they did say that there was slumping sales. Okay, right. They have excess supply right now. Have you ever seen that aerial shot of, I don't know where this facility actually is, but it's an aerial shot of like a Tesla, maybe it's outside the Gigafactory or something. Okay. And it's just all these cars and it's like hundreds of thousands of Model Ys just sitting there. Yeah. Like so much idle capital, so much produced product, so much holding costs for all that. So that's kind of
interesting. Imagine your insurance on having 150,000 Model Ys just sitting outside the Gigafactory
that everybody wants to light in flames,
trying to like destroy.
Okay, so during that earnings call, they kind of said, "Hey, why are sales down? Like, how can this be happening?"
Was Elon there?
Yeah, Elon was there.
Cool.
So he said that
awkward.
So he said that it was due to the Model Y, the car I have. So I have the old design, and they just recently changed.
Kind of looks cool, actually. The new one.
It looks cool and whatever. So they had to stop the factories for a bit to retool to make this new Model Y design. And he said that's the reason that the sales
what a class act.
A bit of a stretch, I think.
But like, remember, his ego's got to be the size of a football field. Like, there's no way that, like, who can confront Elon Musk? Yeah. Like, really though, who on that team with this guy who obviously pretty low emotional intelligence? Yeah. Who is going to be able to say to him, Elon, it's you, bro?
So I actually looked up the Tesla board of directors, and I didn't really know most of the people. One that kind of stood out was, Rupert Murdoch from Fox News. And everything. One of his sons, James Murdoch, is on the board, which I thought that's
kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't even though it's like from like a news outlet, I don't see that being.
So Elon's brother, who's like a restaurateur,
Gary.
I can't remember his first name. Actually, it was a cool name. But I can't remember his first name.
It's not Gary. It's a cool name. To all the Garys out there, we fundamentally apologize. That's fine. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, so
that's interesting.
I guess, if you were to think about this now, so we are where we are. It is what it is. Okay. If you're the Tesla board of directors, what are you doing right now? Go.
Yeah, I think you have to find a way to. I think I would be surprised if they hadn't already tried to pressure Elon into backing away from politics, and that's part of what this is.
That's probably what's happening.
What's happening. I got to imagine. So that's like step one. Ideal part of step one would be he comes out and says something like, "Hey, I took my eye off the ball. I'm back. We're back in this business. We care about it." You'd see the share price immediately go up. Right. Okay. I think there's that. Then I think to the Tesla owners, I think longer term, they would have to find a way to put some distance between them and Elon. I think what they might have seen is that
Didn't you say earlier you'd never see him leaving?
No, I do, but I think the brand needs to work on getting it away from this is Elon Musk's car company to that this is a very successful electric car company. Right. You know what I mean? Like the thing is that we all just see it as Elon's cars.
So just sort of like he's less in the news. Yeah. He's less public.
Ideally, they say, hey, can you go like do some stuff like with X for a while? Yeah. Like, can you go ruin that brand for a little bit? Because like it's just doing real damage. They have a concentration risk in their marketing around this guy. Right. It's almost like, you remember we're aging myself a little bit. Remember Mazda had the Zoom Kid? Yeah. And they fired that kid because the kid actually ended up having too much power in that brand.
Really?
Yeah, well, because the longer you have a spokesperson, the more the brand becomes associated with that person.
Yeah.
Right?
Was it Dell had the dude? You're getting a Dell.
Dude, you're getting a Dell. Like
that was a long time ago.
That's
I
a
feel
million.
That was
That's
20
like,
years
dude,
ago.
where's my car? Like level.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so hang on. One last thing here we didn't even talk about before we. Well, I also want to address that something that the board would think about is tariffs.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't talked tariffs.
So I wanted to look this up. So because of I read a few different things on this. One was that if it was 125% tariffs, which have come down now, I think it's like 80% tariffs on Chinese goods from the United States to China.
No, they dropped it significantly. I think it's like what was it, 145, and now I think they dropped it by like 115%. So I think it's like 20 and it's like 10. But this is like temporary, right? Well, this is all like
this is just like brinksmanship or something.
Right.
But that at that moment when that possibility was going to raise the cost to produce a single Tesla by like $87,000. It was unbelievable how much more expensive it was going to be.
Right.
So you can understand that there's like a big dependency there on that, but still, regardless, there's a bunch of different things. So now with the 25% tariff on the imported vehicles, which is a thing they are doing, which affects Tesla. That's going to increase the cost of a Tesla by about $5,000 per car.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Because the parts are coming in?
Yeah. Well, no, it's because there's something about it's imported vehicles, and I guess there's like a percentage calculation to this or something.
Oh, they don't have a high enough percentage?
Something like that. So they're trying to actually do more in North America, and particularly in the United States, obviously, to manufacture the vehicles, like more of the vehicles there.
Yeah.
But it's the Model Y apparently has some sort of like dependency. But regardless, this increase of $5,000, you're like, some people listening be like, wow, that's like way more expensive for that car. Some people be like, not so much. But like on the market as a whole, when you consider like the Model 3 and the Model Y kind of being your entry level, more entry level, Model Y is a little bit higher.
Mass market.
But your mass market like car, that's going to have a huge effect on their sales as well.
Right.
So there's this whole other like risk now where domestically they're being pushed more into manufacturing in the United States by U.S. policy. Right. And so it's kind of fascinating to me. Like that's also a huge risk to these guys. It's a hell of a year.
And of all companies that are going to bring manufacturing inside, do you think this is going to create a lot of factory worker jobs?
No, like
good union jobs?
Like
this isn't gonna.
I didn't actually think of that, but there's definitely
Can
no
robots unionize?
Not yet. In time, they will. Did I tell you that my wife was like, "Hey, every time you finish talking to like, because I use AI all the time, like when you're done talking to AI, you always say thank you, right?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, but then when they take over, they're gonna kill you." And I'm like, "What?" It's like she like verbatim what she said to me. I'm like, "You're just cool with AI robots taking over the world and all this." But then I was like, what about the wasted computing power of me saying like thank you to them and then it having to respond? And we do that at scale. That's actually pretty significant.
Add up the cost of all the tokens that you have to buy to process the thank yous and the pleases and all that stuff when you're talking to your AI.
It's a lot.
It's a very interesting way to look at it.
Anyway,
Dave.
but what's your take on the tariffs though? Like, what do they do about that? Because like I guess to try to not offshore, so like inshore, like you know what I mean, like onshore.
I think part of it is you just hunker down and hope that this blows over because maybe Trump just changed his mind or who knows what happens, right? So I don't know if I make any big decisions in the short term.
Sure.
Longer term, though, I think you're thinking like, hey, regardless of whether we're building a factory here or a factory overseas, we're automating because we need to be able to like ship the machines to somewhere that's more of a tax haven so we can continue manufacturing there. Raw materials and stuff are still going to be a challenge, but like you have to have some of that flexibility, but I don't really see it driving a lot. I think it'll drive a lot of innovation around manufacturing with automation rather and robotics rather than driving a lot more jobs.
If the intention of the policy is to drive more jobs to the United States, like that's just not going to work. Like not for Tesla, maybe for other firms, but this is we know this is an organization that's really focused on automation and robotics. And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
So where do we end up here? So Tesla, going back to my question to you was, what do you do? I think there's another piece to the puzzle here that they're really starting to struggle with is that like they just refreshed the Model 3 and the Model Y.
Yeah.
But those cars have not changed very much. Yep. Like it's pretty rare that people want to buy the exact same car like 4 years later. Like there has to be something.
Depends, yeah, but I hear you.
Like, so now
there has to be an improvement of some kind. I mean, but they have the software improvements. Right?
I'm 2.5 years into my Model Y. You know, after about 4 years, I'm probably thinking maybe it's time to get something new. If I'm essentially buying the same car, that's not so appealing. I'm then at the point where I'm looking at, hey, maybe what do the other car manufacturers have that I might like better than.
There's a lot of electric cars.
Exactly.
Now.
So I think there is a bit of a risk there that their products are starting to become stale. Yeah. And they went from being a company that can innovate and do such incredible things so fast to being a company that like, announces stuff and then you never see it. You know, like the Roadster is a great example. They announced that in 2017 and everybody's still waiting. Yeah. You know, so
are you still on that list or did you give up on that?
I'm still on the list technically, but I don't know if it's
Elon, heads up, man. Hook Chris up here. Yeah. We'll show it on the show.
I'm one of the long-suffering Roadster holders. He actually
said that. Yeah. That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
So I have a long-suffering Tesla Roadster reservation.
I think they got a complicated problem ahead of them, and it's like they have brand concentration risk with Elon. They have a tariff risk they can probably like hold out for a while. I think that's probably good insight.
Yeah.
And then they have like these like just the brand damage that's already been done. So like brand recovery. And I think there's a lot of firms out there that actually specialize in how to recover your brand after you do something stupid or something stupid happens to you.
Right.
And I think they need to be leaning pretty hard into that. And then you're right though, on the product innovation piece, they're going to be in big trouble, I think, in like 2 years for sure. I think also it would be interesting to see if a Chinese car maker could make progress here, because I know that in China they have because a lot of these companies actually worked with Tesla there, like to make the parts and the batteries and whatever. And they learned a lot. And there's like I can't think of the name right now, but there's one that can do like an electric car that's like 10 grand.
Yeah.
You want to talk about something that blows up your business model as Tesla.
Well, BYD is pretty close to Tesla from a sales numbers perspective. Yeah. Build Your Dreams. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Oh, yeah. They're big, huge.
Oh.
They're basically blocked from North America because Trump banned.
Okay.
And actually, I think it was Biden who did that.
Oh.
And then up here north of the border, I think that our government did the same thing. Basically out of fear that the market is just going to get flooded with really low cost Chinese EVs. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be terrible if everybody was driving an electric car?
I know, it's a real tough one, right? But then you've got like governments that have made massive investments into auto manufacturing in these countries. So
I'll tell you what, I feel like GM, like it's a tough, like this world is a tough world for like the legacy car manufacturers.
Yeah, because they're very locked into the way they've done things and very difficult to change. So anyways, I'm just not sure where they go from here, other than you've got to like tone down Musk. You've got to refresh your products, maybe more than refresh your products. You got to show some actual innovation, get people excited about the brand again. You've got to do something about the tariffs and managing costs, so price that customers are going to pay. And then the other piece is like they used to get those tax credits. And a lot of that has vaporized, partly Trump, partly just anti-Musk sentiment where they don't want to fund anything that's helping Musk. So, there's just a lot of real headwinds that Tesla is facing right now. And they're dealing with them on different fronts.
I think the best thing that Tesla could do, just on final thought on the Elon thing, I think the best thing they could do is find somebody who's got an unbelievable reputation in like things that the car owners care about. Maybe it's the environment, maybe it's about the quality of the vehicle or some sort of like legacy of that. That's your new CEO, figurehead CEO or president or whatever.
Yeah.
Put that person out there and try to overtake the legacy of Elon over time.
A Tim Cook-esque person to kind of become the figurehead.
I think that
of
makes
Tesla.
sense.
Maybe Musk is there in the background. He's working with the R&D
He just can't be
whatever.
like, he's already famous. So if I was like on that board, I'd be like, yo, bro, you don't need to be famous, like more famous because of this. I actually need you to get less famous, like get out of this.
Right.
We'll get somebody. You can stay here, make all the money, you're part of this, whatever, but bring in a new CEO.
There it is.
There, we're done.
We solved it.
Tesla, you're welcome. We'll send you a bill. All right.
Is that it?
That's
it.
The pod? We're done.
All right.
See you later, folks.
Start it up. Let's get it rolling. Big ideas, money folding. Hustle smart, dream so wild. Turn that grind into a joyride.